High on a hill in southeastern Turkey, a team of archaeologists uncovered something that would shake up our understanding of history. They found massive stone circles erected nearly 12,000 years ago, long before humans invented agriculture or even pottery. The site is called Göbekli Tepe, and its discovery has made historians and archaeologists rethink the timeline of civilization. In fact, many researchers call Göbekli Tepe the oldest known temple in the world, built millennia before famous monuments like Stonehenge or the Egyptian pyramids. Let's take a deep dive into this archaeological marvel and see if we can uncover any of its secrets. Now, but before we get started, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and if you have any thoughts about this video, well, leave them in the comments down below. For a long time, the story of civilization seemed straightforward. First, people learned to farm, then they built temples and cities. Scholars assumed that once our ancestors settled down and grew crops, they had the food surplus and free time to develop religion and organize complex societies. In this traditional view, farming was the trigger for civilization. But Göbekli Tepe has turned that story upside down. Göbekli Tepe was just a lonely hilltop, known as Potbelly Hill by local farmers, until the 1990s. In 1994, archaeologist Klaus Schmidt came to investigate the site and quickly realized the fragments of ancient stone tools on the ground hinted at something big hidden below. Excavations began in 1995, and what emerged was astonishing. Not an ancient village or burial ground, but a series of enormous stone pillars arranged in circles, preserved under millennia of sediment. Schmidt and his team unearthed pillar after pillar, each towering in a distinctive T-shape. These limestone columns stood up to 5.5 meters, 18 feet tall, and weighed as much as 16 tons. They were adorned with intricate carvings of animals, foxes, snakes, wild boars, scorpions, and vultures, to name a few. Some pillars even have human arms and hands carved along their sides, as if the stone itself were a giant figure with its hands folded, completed with a carved belt and loincloth. This level of artistic skill and ambition was completely unexpected for such an ancient time. As the dig continued, it became clear that Göbekli Tepe was astonishingly old. Radiocarbon dating showed that these stone circles were first built around 9600 BCE during the Stone Age, when humans were just transitioning from hunting and gathering to farming. At that time, the climate in this region was warmer and wetter than today, and the hill was surrounded by open grasslands filled with wild wheat and barley, along with herds of gazelle and other game. This abundance of wild food resources would have made it easier for large groups to gather at the site, even before formal farming had begun. To put that in perspective, Göbekli Tepe is over 11,000 years old, about 6,000 years older than Stonehenge in England, and far older than the Great Pyramids of Egypt. This makes it the oldest known monumental architecture in the world, and it upended the timeline of human innovation. No one expected that people of the Stone Age could create something so massive so early in our history. Göbekli Tepe's existence has essentially rewritten two big assumptions about early civilization. First, it overturns the idea that agriculture had to come before large communities and structures. Here we have a monumental complex built by people who had not yet fully adopted farming. It suggests that the urge to gather for shared rituals might have sparked the development of agriculture, not the other way around. And, fittingly, Göbekli Tepe is located in the Fertile Crescent, the very region where agriculture first began, hinting that ritual centers like this played a key role in that tradition. Perhaps people first came together at this sacred site to worship or feast, realized they needed plenty of food for the occasion, and that necessity drove them to start cultivating grains and taming animals. Second, Göbekli Tepe shows that religion or shared belief wasn't just a byproduct of civilization. It may have been a driving force. A common spiritual goal united people and inspired them to cooperate on this huge project long before cities or kings existed. Think about what it took to build Göbekli Tepe. The people who built it had no metal tools and no wheels. They likely carved those pillars using flint and bone instruments and hauled the 16-ton stones with ropes, logs, and sheer human muscle. There were no draft animals like oxen to pull heavy loads. This was long before beasts of burden were domesticated. Just quarrying the stone and dragging it to the hilltop would have required hundreds of workers and careful coordination. Organizing such labor in the Stone Age was a remarkable feat, and it tells us that these hunter-gatherers were far more resourceful and organized than anyone expected. Archaeologists have also found clues about how these ancient builders sustained themselves during the construction. As they dug through the layers, they discovered tens of thousands of animal bones packed into the dirt that was used to backfill the stone enclosures. Gazelles, aurochs, wild cattle, and other game were evidently hunted and cooked in large quantities, evidence of massive feasts taking place at Göbekli Tepe. They even uncovered huge stone basins, each big enough to hold about 160 liters, 40 gallons of liquid. What were these for? Possibly brewing an early form of beer to be shared during ceremonies and celebrations. Feasting and drinking together may have been crucial for bonding the community and rewarding the labor of building this sanctuary. Now, imagine what a gathering at Göbekli Tepe might have been like. People from various tribes arrive on the hill, bringing their best meat and baskets of wild grain. As the sun sets, fires crackle between the stone pillars. In the middle of the ring, two towering T-shaped pillars face each other like silent guardians watching over the crowd. Dozens of hunters and their families sit in a circle, roasting animals and brewing something like beer in those great stone vats. Under the glittering stars and the looming silhouettes of the pillars, they feast and tell stories. Perhaps they perform rituals or dances in the flickering firelight, all under the watchful gaze of the carved animals on the stones. It must have been an awe-inspiring sight, a moment of unity and celebration at the very dawn of civilization. All signs indicate that Göbekli Tepe was a regional gathering place for the people of its time. There's no evidence of ordinary houses or a village on the hill, so it wasn't a place where people lived permanently. Instead, it seems groups of people traveled from far and wide to meet here, perhaps during certain times of the year. The site sits on a high limestone plateau with a commanding view of the surrounding area. A perfect landmark to draw people in. Archaeologists suggest that different nomadic bands would rendezvous at Göbekli Tepe to socialize, exchange goods and information, and possibly find marriage partners to keep their groups connected. In other words, it was likely a social and spiritual hub, a kind of Stone Age festival ground as much as a temple. What's even more fascinating is that Göbekli Tepe wasn't alone. Similar T-shaped pillars and carvings have been found at other sites up to 200 kilometers away. This suggests that Göbekli Tepe was part of a broader cultural tradition rather than an isolated wonder. Think of Göbekli Tepe as a kind of main cathedral with smaller local shrines spread across the region following the same style. People from many distant communities may have shared this religious or cultural phenomenon and perhaps converged on this hill for grand gatherings. The influence of Göbekli Tepe across such a wide area shows that Neolithic people had a network of interaction and common beliefs much earlier than anyone suspected. Yet, for all we have learned, Göbekli Tepe still holds many mysteries. One of the biggest puzzles is why it was eventually buried and abandoned. Evidence shows that around 8000 BCE, after centuries of use, the people at Göbekli Tepe deliberately filled in the stone circles with dirt, rocks, and animal bones. In effect, they buried their own temple on purpose. Why would they do that? Perhaps the site's significance changed, or they moved on to build new sacred places elsewhere. We also don't know exactly what rituals were performed in these stone circles, or what all the carvings mean. Did the animals on the pillars represent gods, spirit totems, or mythic stories important to these ancient people? Such questions remain unanswered, adding to Göbekli Tepe's mystique. Over time, layer upon layer of structures and infill created the mound that stood for millennia. Each enclosure was eventually filled in and another built on top, turning the hill into a layered time capsule. In fact, the name Göbekli Tepe literally means pot-belly hill, describing its rounded shape. The deliberate burial meant that Göbekli Tepe remained hidden and amazingly well preserved until its discovery in our time. For millennia, Göbekli Tepe lay quiet and forgotten beneath its artificial hill. That changed in the late 20th century. In 1963, a team of archaeologists conducted a brief survey of the hill and noted there were ancient flints and stone fragments. but they didn't yet grasp its significance. It was in 1994 that Klaus Schmidt recognized what lay beneath the soil, and in 1995 he began the excavation that eventually unveiled Göbekli Tepe to the world. In 2018, the site was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its unique status as one of the very first large-scale sacred structures built by humankind. People have even called Göbekli Tepe a zero point in time for civilization, marking the dawn of organized human endeavor in building monuments. Amazingly, archaeologists have only uncovered a small portion of Göbekli Tepe. As of now, perhaps only 10% of the site has been excavated. Just a few of the circles that are visible, and the rest remain buried. Geophysical surveys have revealed that there are at least 20 stone enclosures in total on the hill, most of which haven't been dug up yet. This means the story of Göbekli Tepe is far from fully told. Future excavations will likely uncover even more pillars, carvings, and insights, potentially answering some questions and raising new ones. With so much hidden underground, who knows what surprises await? Each discovery has the potential to further rewrite what we know about the dawn of civilization. In the end, Göbekli Tepe shows that our Stone Age ancestors were far more inventive and organized than anyone guessed. This single discovery has forced a rewrite of the early chapters of human history. It stands as a testament to the creativity and cooperation of people across the ages. Even without modern technology, those early builders achieved something that still leaves us in awe today. History, it turns out, is not a simple, straight line. It's a story full of surprises. Just when you think we have the story figured out, a place like Göbekli Tepe emerges from the earth and reminds us that we still have so much to learn about our past. So, what do you think those ancient buildings were doing on the hilltop 11,000 years ago? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear any theories. And if you like this video, then check out this video that's coming up on your screen now.